Pheons in Lost Ark are single-handedly the worst system in any game that I have ever played.
They have the better version of the game.
You know what I'm saying?
The pandemic started. That's when everybody found out PC devs had no home computers.
Do you guys not have phones?
Yeah, you guys all have phones, right?
And he was serious. He meant that. He wholeheartedly didn't mean it in a negative, toxic way. He just wanted to be like, oh, you guys don't have phones. That's crazy. But the crazy part was that the devs didn't have computers at home.
You know, a PC gaming company got bad when they're like, hey, guys, PC games suck, phone games rock, right?
And I think the disconnect is like there should be so many things to go do other than just like log in. It's like, here's your progression path. You should just be progressing the entire time you log in. Sideways content is like something to go do, like PvP, but PvP is terrible in Lost Ark because it's too oppressive against new players, right? So you can't get new people into it. You look at like World of Warcraft. What do people do when they're done their 10,000 transmog run or whatever? Like they're like, I'm gonna go do a random BG or something, right?
BG with the boys.
But
can't do
like,
that with you on Lost Ark because I'm on a different server.
it's like Korea gets this great update, and then NA gets like this trash here update of like, oh, here's the pet system. It's like, yeah, cool, the pet system, but it's like, well, why don't we have the cross realm feature? Why don't we have all this other stuff, right? Like, and then I hear the Korean players like they constantly say like, oh, NA's so entitled.
They have the better version of the game. Like, what are they talking about?
You're on the pedestal and you're looking down and you're like, it's nice up here. Sucks that you can't be here. It's like, yeah, of course we're mad, bro. We don't want things to stay the same. We want our region to be better. Like, it's been mismanaged to the point where like NA is just terrible. Like, I look around, it's like, man, like I would go play my KR account, but I don't want to play on 300 ping. I want to play on 50 ping, but the game on 50 ping sucks because there's nothing to do. They're like, oh, we're going to drip feed you characters, which is not content, by the way. Drip feeding characters is possibly the worst thing I've ever seen a company do. We saw it on BDO initially. Terrible feedback. Everybody hated it. We see it on Lost Ark. Every single person's like, oh, I guess it's terrible, but like they quit. Everybody quits. And you're sitting here and you're like, bro, if you're going to leave the game because you don't have your character and like the general feedback is like you losing a lot of players than having all the characters, like why not just launch the game with all the characters? It's like, like you're going to get money from a character slot? Do you know how much money you would make from outfits? Right? Like the outfits are where all the money's coming from. I guess not. Pheons are where all the money coming from.
They can make a shit ton of money off of outfits because they spend so much money on all these Korean games have really good character customization options. So they're able to get a shit ton of money from like any cosmetic they put out there. And Koreans have better cosmetics than most NA, if you really think about it.
Yeah, Korean, like when you look at BDO, that's like basically just character simulator online. They have the best outfits. Why did World of Warcraft, like the World of Warcraft longevity was made by Asmongold. He started the transmog competitions. He started the transmog runs, and people wanted to go get better outfits to look cool, right? And even if it wasn't,
he made the culture popular.
He made the whole
culture of just going out like, oh, I'm gonna go transmog run with the boys.
And then you look at Diablo 4, and that's exactly what they did with Diablo 4. They put like, they're just doing 1 million outfits, and it's like, okay, that's good, right? And like, there's no negatives with that. It's like, what are you paying for? Outfits. And then you look at Lost Ark, it's like, well, you're paying for outfits, you know, you're paying for character, you're paying for so many things on Lost Ark, and like, it's just too much for an NA game. And like, I get that, you know, we sound entitled and we're talking about like, oh, all these game systems are oppressive and they don't feel good. But they don't feel good. And the fact that the people with a voice didn't stand up for these things a long time ago is the reason that it's at the stage that it is. Like, they might have briefly touched on it, but like if you're too busy getting paid off and you're on like an embargo, you can't really say too many negative things, right? So then you're just sitting there stuck in like a toxic loop, and it comes out in another region and everybody's like, yo, this is terrible. Like, Pheons in Lost Ark are single-handedly the worst system in any game that I have ever played. It's just a company tax on people trying to use the market. Like, imagine in World of Warcraft, bro, if you listed an item on the market, a piece of gear, like you crafted a piece of gear, you go list a piece of gear on the market, and you have to pay Blizzard a WoW token to buy the thing every single time. You're like, oh, I'm going to go buy this chess piece. Boom. There goes a WoW token. Okay, thank you, Blizzard. You have to you pay them. It's ridiculous. I don't want to give them any ideas because next thing you know, there's going to be Pheons in WoW, and then nobody will use the market, bro. It's crazy. What's fine about Pheons, bro? Like, there's nothing good about Pheons, and like on the NA region, they have no place in the game. And every single person that I've ever talked to, every single one is like, yeah, Pheons are trash, but it's fine. It's like, how is it fine? It's not fine. So many people left the game because of the Pheon tax. Like they're just like, this is stupid. I'm gone.
I remember I stopped playing because I didn't want to do that farming stuff, the farming mini game on my little island. I didn't want to do that, and I had to start buying. It was like something. It was like little green stones, so I can enhance my gear. Had to like start crafting them, and I didn't want to do that, so I quit. Like I started buying them, and I realized I'd have to start farming gold because I have to buy them off the auction house. So it was just an endless loop, and I'm like, how am I going to get all this gold just to enhance some gear off of people? Like,
this is the reason I have you here, honestly, just to talk about like the new POV of like what it's like to just be a brand new player to Lost Ark, what it's like to just be someone who's brand new to Lost Ark, somebody who hasn't, well, you have technically played on other regions before, but Pheons didn't exist when you played before.
Russia, no, I remember.
Yeah,
Pheons
Russia was
all.
great. Yeah, Pheons didn't exist when the Crazium system was out. Most people never actually get to experience the superior system of the game of Crazium, and I know everybody will disagree with me that likes to pay to win, but a Crazium was way better than the current system. But that's the point that's being made is like you played to the stage where you needed too much gold, right? But you never had to really truly experience Pheons, which would have made you have to have so much more gold. Like you were like, okay, well, I need these green stones, so I have to craft them. They cost too much gold. I have no gold. And then like that's like the brand new player experience. For every single new player they come in, everything costs too much gold, and there's no way to make gold in NA like properly unless you're selling carries or buying gold. And nobody's buying gold from Amazon because it's too expensive. So then they go to the Chinese markets and they're like, I'm just going to buy 100,000 gold because it's worth peanuts, right? And that's what ended up happening. And that's why there's so many bots is like all the people that are left are either forced to pay or they're forced to carry. Like that's it. There's 2 stages to the game. And if you don't do either one of those, you have to have 6 characters, and having 6 characters sucks.
The worst part about that is for a new player when I came back, I remember coming back for that power pass and I got to like 1330, but you need to get to 1440 to start doing like some of the raids with the boys because like the boys were playing already, right? And I'm sitting there going like, how do I get these extra 10 points? Oh, I have to start paying. I have to start doing chaos dungeons for the next 2-3 weeks. And I'm like, I want to play with the boys though. And the boys like, oh, we'll come do some low level stuff. So they're just carrying me. So like, what's the point of playing with the boys if I'm just getting carried? It's boring, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm just stuck here grinding by myself while you guys are doing some cool raids or something or having fun.
But like there should be an incentive to not get carried and actually get good at your alts and actually be good or better at the entire game, right? Like
let's be honest.
How
like,
it should be.
Every game now, man. Like literally every game. Like, do you think these devs play their own games?
No, I don't. I don't think any devs really play their own games. I think that the only time okay, that's not true. The game director of Lost Ark played his own game.
The Korean guys, the Korean devs probably play the game a lot more. Maybe okay.
I can't say
everybody in NA, every NA dev of Lost Ark doesn't play. I can't ever say that. Might be one guy.
There might be one guy. Yeah, did you look at EA? How many people at EA really play their own games? How many people at Blizzard actually play World of Warcraft? Not very many. Not very many.
I feel like everybody played Battlefield 2042 and thought it was a good game at EA.
Every single person at EA played Battlefield 2042 and thought it was a good game. Yeah. They thought it was the best thing ever.
There's one guy, like I said, there's one guy going like, nah, it's not a good game, guys.
The CEO of EA Games comes in, he walks in the room, he picks up the controller that's attached to the computer, by the way, not to the console, because Battlefield 2042 still doesn't work good on console. He picks up the controller, he's like, gets killed by 6 bots, he's like, make the bots easier. Walks out of the room. Good game, though.
He gets killed by the bots, he goes like, hey, am I getting full experience?
Battlefield 2042's direction.
Oh, those bots gave me full experience, guys? No, we can't be having that. They're going to decrease my play time. Do things so I play the game more.
Add more bots so the lobbies feel more alive. Okay, we can do that. It's like, oh man, please.
Maybe when you kill a bot, you get 5 experience compared to 100 when you kill a player. It'd be great. So they have to farm more if they're just killing bots.
Yeah, you know, honestly, if Lost Ark actually let us kill the bots, there would actually be something to do because it's like 3-1 to the player base on NA for bots. Like you look around, like you walk down the town, you know, the little street. And you're like, oh, there's 400 bots stacked up on the storage. And you look at the people like usually standing around the enhancing vendors. It used to be tons of people. There'd be like 5-10 channels packed. Now there's like 10 channels all greenlit. And this is like on not a dead server. There's multiple dead servers on Lost Ark, by the way, like actually flat out dead. And like one of my biggest problems with just every single player base and every game I've ever played is a server dies and they're like, they're not on my server. That's not my problem. But what happens is it makes the rest of those people on those server actually quit the game. And the more people that quit the game, the worse off the game is in the long run. Right? Because a casual player doesn't want to log in and be like, oh, there's nobody on my server. They would just server transfer. But there's no server transfers available for Lost Ark. And so they just quit. There's no point in playing. It's like, oh, but you can cross server instances. The whole game is instant. So it feels like a single player game, right? But when you go to do the world boss and you can't do it because you're alone, or like you go do the chaos gate alone, you go to the ghost ship alone, and then you're just like, I can't
do this stuff.
I can't even do the island events alone because it's just undoable by yourself. It takes like 20, 30, sometimes 50 people to go do the island event. And then you're sitting there and you're like, what happened? You know what I mean?
All the bots got banned.
All the bots don't do the events. That's the problem. And then some servers are filled with bots. And they still haven't managed it.
What would you do the Lost Ark bots? How would you deal with them?
I would just turn PvP on and everywhere but the towns. You know what I mean? Just call it a day. The bots just get farmed out and people get mad that they get killed by whales, and that's okay.
Can I piggyback off of that? You turn on PvP, right? But you don't ban the bots, man. You teleport them to a arena. And then people can queue into that arena while the bots are just running around in circles inside that arena, not realizing they got teleported there, and then you can just int on them and kill them and get some free ratings.
Just here, you can have ranked rating for killing bots.
Free rank ratings.
Bro, what was crazy was people were telling me like one game master wouldn't make a difference on Lost Ark. I literally went to the PvP island alone, saw a million clips of this too, so I had to go do it. Spun around in a circle and stood in a pathway and stopped an entire channel of bots by myself for like 20 minutes. I sat there just slaughtering hundreds and hundreds of bots like over and over again. You tell me a game master couldn't sit there and just blast a bunch of bots? You know what I mean? And he's just banning them too. They log down.
Anybody who says that, they should just try sitting in a game for an hour, any game with a lot of bots, and just try reporting every bot that you see for an hour. See how much people you fucking report at the end of that. So imagine a dev who gets paid for 8 hours, and their only job is just to find bots, man. Just fly around in the world, see guys do some weird stuff.
And people say you'd have to really love the game to like actually go and do that. But I think that the genuine hate for people that cheat on games would be enough for most people to go get paid like double minimum wage, because minimum wage isn't good enough, honestly. But double minimum wage.
That's why no one would do it, man. You have to love the game because it'll give you $8 an hour or something, right?
Could you imagine you're getting paid like $25, $30 an hour to go just ban bots? You'd be able to ban thousands of bots a day by yourself, right? And then if there's some guy constantly stopping, I mean, you could see it, right? You just go to the port and in Lost Ark, you go to the thing, and then the amount of money that simply Amazon lost by not like hiring a whole team of people to do that, like, is absolutely insane. Like, so many people bought Chinese gold. It was absolutely insane. And people are still doing it, and that's why it's still viable. The player count is not going up every day because Lost Ark is a good game. It hasn't had an update since Vicus, and we're getting pets next week. It's like nobody cares, right? Nobody cares if their pet's going to be slightly better.
Imagine COD just had like all their little BR servers they have go running during the day, right? They have one GM per server every day, just banning people doing suspicious stuff that who people report. That's their only job. Like how much people they would save, how much money they would save.
Even if they don't get everybody.
How much people quit games going like, yo, too much hackers, I'm not playing this.
Well, that's why PUBG literally died, right? So like having a game master and like even if the game master is completely ineffective, right? Even if he doesn't do enough or he doesn't get enough done, he doesn't ban enough bots, it still gives players that extra like peace of mind that there's somebody at least looking out for them. Because you got to think like way back in the day when World of Warcraft had tons of GMs. You put a ticket in, somebody's talking to you in game, right? And they completely removed that because like everybody knows you just get copy paste tickets now. But when you knew like you could go interact with a GM in game, like, and he would teleport you or fix your character or fix your problem, you felt a little more reassured that like the company actually cared about you. And like that's what really like they built rapport. Like people talk about rapport on NPCs. We were the NPCs. Blizzard report us to the point where they released garbage for since like Cataclysm came out, and it's just been garbage ever since, right? And people still love the game because of how good Blizzard used to be. Amazon never built that up. They never NPC'd us, right? They never built that rapport up with us. They simply didn't even have a support team. They're just like, here, we're just going to make sure that you feel completely devalued as a customer, as a player, as just anything, right? You're not going to have fun. You put a ticket in, nothing's going to get solved. It happened on New World. It happened on Lost Ark. Like you put in a ticket for Lost Ark, you get replies for New World a lot of the time, right? So even having a support team, just a support team, it isn't a lot to ask for. It makes people feel cared about. It makes them care about the company and the game.
People that argue against that don't understand like the idea, because like think about when you run into cheaters, like you don't just quit the game automatically. Like I'm done. I'm not playing this piece of shit ever again. You might wait a week. You might be like, oh, I'm done for the day. You'll go back the next day, run into another cheater after a few rounds of whatever. Any BR too, right? Might play a few rounds are great. Run to a cheater, get mad, quit. I'm not gonna come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. Then once like a week of that goes on, you keep running to a cheater after 3 or 4 or 5 games. There's always a cheater, and you're like, why do I keep seeing a cheater every night, right? And nothing's happening, you're gonna quit, right? But if I see the cheater every single night, but I know there's a GM flying around and banning people, maybe they just never got to this guy yet, I might stay around for another week. And you finally ban that guy, and I'm staying now because I'm like, oh, I'm running to less cheaters now. It's like every 10 games.
And you got to think like, oh, that's why all the private CS servers are doing so good, right? The private Battlefield servers do so good. Hell let loose. A cheater gets reported and they're banned super fast, right? So like you don't even have to have the people like going to look for the things. Somebody gets reported, you go look at them for a second, okay, they're banned. You know what I mean? You ban one guy every 10 minutes, you know, oh, you only banned 6 guys this hour. You know what I mean?
You have to be on the game, man. Hell let loose. You can just do a little admin command going like admin, there's a cheater, blah blah blah, in game, and then it go to Discord, and then the Discord little notification go up, and the admins go like, oh, and they log into the game and they ban the guy.
Yeah,
you have to be in the game.
That's the thing is like, and people say it's not scalable because there was thousands and thousands of bots on, like literally hundreds of thousands of bots on Lost Ark, right? And they're like, okay, well, a person couldn't have made a difference. It's like a person definitely could have made a difference, right? And anybody who says that a person couldn't have made a difference simply just doesn't understand. If you pay people enough money, they're going to work hard, right? Like if you pay somebody $25 an hour, like a real living wage, they're going to work hard. Doesn't matter what job it is, right? Even if they don't love the game, even if they don't care about it, right? They're going to log in. They're going to be like, okay, boom. But then there's like another level of ban.
I go admin up fucking Roblox for $25 an hour, bro.
Everybody would. That's the thing.
Dude.
Like I genuinely feel like any single time where you have a game master pulling up, obviously they would, you know, a power can be abused, I guess, if you false ban people or whatever, right? But more people get flagged in these massive bond waves, and I feel like that there's an intermediate thing here, right? If you had the people there, then it would reassure everyone. And it's not even, it's just a mental game, right? It's not even a game about like, oh, maybe they didn't ban enough bots. It's a mental game for the players where it's like, at least we feel cared about. Because if we feel cared about, then even though the problem's there, it doesn't exist to the extent that it does when you do a bot ban wave every like 2 months, 3 months, year. You know what I mean? That doesn't work. And it very clearly doesn't work because they do this massive bot ban wave and then the real player numbers show and then the bots slowly climb back up.
Well, I think all MMOs get that. Like no one goes into like, I don't think people jump into MMOs going like, I'm gonna play this by myself, unless it's like a brand new MMO and it's a hype thing. I think most people get into like these older MMOs, like especially like Lost Ark or like Final Fantasy or even WoW nowadays. Like it's because like 5 of my friends are playing Lost Ark, so I'm gonna go play Lost Ark. And then you start playing Lost Ark and you can't play with your friends because your friends are already playing, right?
And it's hard to catch up. So, but it forces you to pay to win. I think that genuinely it has been made normal to be able to buy games or buy like things in games in the East, right? And it's been like that for years and years and years, right? It's only recently, like, okay, I say recently, but it's been in FIFA for 10 years, right? But it's been creeping into our markets, into different games, because people are seeing how successful it is to like prey on people with weak minds, literally, right? Like if you have a weaker mind, like
you're like a different breed, okay?
Well, I'm
But I
not.
think,
Hey, I don't know where your brain went.
Don't compare us.
Hey! You just called console players weak-minded. All right, that's
They're a
messed
different
up.
breed, man. All
No,
right.
I think that console players had enough too, right? Like they genuinely have. I think everybody's tired of getting reamed. And I think that maybe the monetization, like I look at the monetizations and systems in KR, like yeah, they're not the best. I look in China, some of the games are blatantly just unfair, and I think that majority of people could agree with that. And then you look at NA and EU, and like, dude, FIFA is one of the most pay to win games ever, right? But I think people are genuinely just tired of like pay to winning in games. Like people like it leveled the field out, right? Where it was like some guy could have 10 mil in his bank account, right? And he could be worse than me because I play more or I'm just genuinely better at the game. But now they can pay to get the item level and then they're better than you, right? And I think like one of the positives about Lost Ark is those people have to buy a carry through like the hardest content, right? Like they can't do hell mode. They have to buy a carry through it. And then like, yeah, sure, they still get the title. But like at the end of the day, like you're still better than them because you can do it. They can't do it, right? Because it equalizes the item level. That's the only redeeming quality for Lost Ark for me at the moment is that hell mode exists, right? And then I look at like hard mode and normal mode, and like I saw so many people saying like, "Oh, you can't whale to make this easier." If you whale enough and you're a high enough item level, you can skip the entire fight on hard mode. Like you could just blast, and it's like, okay, now you do the mechanic. But like one of the main things is, while you practice anything, eventually you're going to be good at it, right? If you can get to the mechanic faster multiple times, then it's easy. So if you hit the boss once and it goes right to the mechanic, then all you have to do is succeed the mechanic and then hit the boss one more time and he's dead, right? And that's how the bosses actually work on KR right now. Is it's just a burst meta. You hit the if an overgeared player hits a boss, it's just like boom, that guy's MVP. Whoever hits it first with their big crit, right? And that's not for every bit of content in the game, right? Obviously, but like that's what's coming for NA. And currently, like you could do that on like Vicus, like or even Vaulted, right? Like if you're overgeared and you hit the boss with like a massive skill, you're like 15, 40 plus, and you hit the boss with a skill, the boss is going to disintegrate in front of you. And you're just going to skip the phases. And you're just like, okay, well, all the stuff that could have happened in the middle doesn't happen anymore. And it's just like point A, point B, do point B, and then move to point C and do point C. And you're skipping all the middle grounds. And it makes it easy. It's like in WoW, right?
I was gearing up to go Mokoko seed hunting. And I spent 10 grand, dude.
Yeah, is that what happened?
Great, man.
You spent 10 grand on costumes and
Pheons. 10 grand. Yeah. I was looking flies drippy, bro. Running around, getting all the Mokokos. All the bathing suit babes are looking at me, and I'm like, Mokoko seed hunting.
I see the little green thing in your window, and I know that that's just a little Mokoko, man. Don't show the boys, though. They're not going to like that because it's hard to get. He's a Lost Ark. He's a Giga Lost Ark fan. No cap.
The Lost Ark creator gave that to
me. Did he?
Yeah, we plant pumpkins. We make pumpkin pies together. We talk about Lost Ark stuff.
You're a little pumpkin pie.
He carries me through Chaos Dungeons.
Oh, I would have carried you through Chaos Dungeons, but I know that you wouldn't have played. I know genuinely that having 6 characters, so like a casual player needing 6 characters, or a free player, excuse me, needing 6 characters, is not healthy for a game, right? Needing 6 characters is crazy. When you look at World of Warcraft,
if you want to.
When you look at World of Warcraft, the highest end players, the top, bro, in the raid guilds are okay. You have to have like you have to play 3 classes. You have to have 2 to 3 of each character when you go into the new raid because of some of the systems in the last like 3 expansions, right?
And they don't want the characters.
And then some of those characters just get straight abandoned. After the first 2 weeks, those characters just get abandoned. They never get played again. Whatever ones it up in the best spot because of the level of RNG that they made it, right? And that's not good for a game because that gates your casual players way out. And I think a lot of people forget that without casuals, your game dies. And like, if you don't have casuals to flex on with your cool gear, and how OP you are when you go do random things, like you go do a random dungeon and you go flex on people, it'd be like in Lost Ark, you pull up, you looking hot as a Mokoko, man. You looking the hottest with your bonky hammer, right? You got the hottest gear. You're geared out. You're dripped out, right? You go smash every time I'm on my destroy. I go smash the boss, right? And people are like, that guy's bonking, bro. Every time I smash a boss, I'm going to repeat that guy's bonking. They're losing it, right? But I feel like it would be more hype if there was no pay to win in the game, and people were like, that guy's just bonking away, and they're way more hyped up. And I think that's what happens in World of Warcraft is like, that guy's geared and he's really good. You know what I mean? And you look in Lost, you're like, man, that guy's geared. He's really good. You never say that guy's geared. You might be like, that guy, there's never that guy's geared. It's like you inspect somebody, you see on NA, you see level 10 gems, you see high gear score, you're like 15, 10 plus, level 10 gems, you're like, that guy's a whale. And he gets top damage, and it discredits him completely of being good. And I think that takes away a lot from the game, honestly.
Lost Ark gives you these titles like they're supposed to be special, but everybody has so many titles and weird looking titles that like a cool pop, like, wow, that title, like, it's not noticeable. So, like, what are you working for after you kill Hell Mode? What? A title?
The Hell Mode title is the only one that's noticeable in the game. Every other title in the game, genuinely, every other title in the game, like, you put it on, and it puts it right beside your name. And the problem with the Hell Mode titles is right beside your name. They didn't do a BTO where they stack the titles and the guilds up, because they do that with the guild. I don't know why they didn't do it with the title. They do it with the guild. It's like, if your name, your title, your guild, you know, well, it's name, family name, title, guild, right? But like, you have your title above your character. If it, like the better titles, they should be above your character, because then it's like, oh, that's cool. It looks nicer. Like, it's visually pleasing, right? When I see somebody, dude, there's some people that equip titles with long names. Like, I've done it before, where your name is like half the screen. It's like, and you look and this guy's walking around and all you see is his text, and you're just like, that's sick. And you laugh about it, and it's funny, but it's like it.
Then you never want to do it again because you got your title, and you're like, why should I got to do Hell Mode again?
Yeah, there should be some kind of. I think there should be, honestly, there should be like a cosmetic reward too. And like this'll probably get told like, oh, you're just crying about wanting more and wanting more and wanting more. You already have like the prestige, right? But it's like, the title's cool and all, right? And like, it makes me look at my character, it makes me happy. But then I go look at,
I was wanting more.
You know, I want more. I always want more. But like, you know, a cool pet, like Brashaza has a pet.
Can we all be gluttons? Like, we're destroying the earth because we're gluttons. Like, just embrace it, man. Give me some more stuff. Give me cosmetics. Hey, what about this?
I think
we talked about this before, right? You kill Hell Mode, right? Tell me a Berserker ability you love, man. Whirlwind, the best one out there, right? You get Whirlwind, God, right, bro? You do Hell Mode. You're like, I finished Hell Mode, man. Now you get this cool Whirlwind, like, it replaces your Whirlwind. It's the same thing, all the same stats, whatever. But it's just like a different cosmetic. It's like adds blue flames.
This is the best idea. We talked about this the other day for like 4 or 5 hours. Like,
yeah, and it's called like Hell Mode Super Whirlwind. And that's the only difference. And like, you feel special because like, you know, that's regular Whirlwind, but you earned it. It's like, it looks cool now.
Genuinely, you could remove the title from the game, and like, some people be like, oh, I don't want to. Imagine, right? You're casting your Berserker. You're casting Berserk for. You see this big red dildo pop up on your screen. You're like, and you scream. It goes off, and you're like, this is cool. It's red. But what if it was pink or blue or purple? You could change the color code of it, right? What if the prestige wasn't just a title, right? A whole different animation could be cool. A whole different animation is a lot of work, but it could be cool, right? And I think that a whole different animation would be a good idea. But imagine you go beat the hardest content in the game. Let's say it's not even the hardest content in the game. Let's just say it's like a hard mode, and you do it like start to finish without dying. And there's a special color code for like what would you say? It's like Nyan cats, little rainbows shooting out of your ability. You're spinning around, little rainbows are shooting out of you. Mm-hmm. Not only are more people more inclined to want to go do that and like specifically target doing that, they're gonna go do it because it's like, oh, that guy isn't just better. Like, you look at title, like, whatever, right? Getting into groups of the title is fine, but getting into and flexing on people is really what it's all about, right? You get in the group and you're spinning around. There's different colors. You're like, why is that guy blue or pink or purple, right? And then
why is the guy go on fire when he does his whirlwind and I don't? Why is he so special? Oh, he killed Hell Mode? He's amazing. Why is this whirlwind? What's your whirlwind called? It's called Super Supreme Whirlwind.
It's
fair?
Like,
what fair? Like, this is the same ability as the other world Berserkers. You just got a different name. You just renamed it. Throwing renaming is something cool.
Even if you didn't rename it, you just changed the color of it, like, or added like a glow to it, or like it just. Your abilities looked a little different. You change the color code of your abilities. It's like, so like you go kill Hell Mode Volton, and then your abilities have this cool ghosty blue glowing color, right? And then you're just using all these cool ghosty blue ability colors, and it's like, that's it. That's, in my opinion, that kind of cosmetic reward for doing the absolute hardest thing in the game would be really cool. But then adding different ones for doing different things. It adds like sideways progression to things that's just like you actually want to go do, because it's like now I just look way cooler. And yeah, sure, other people play with abilities turned off, but it's like that you know that sucks. But the people who play with them on, like I do, who like their eyes bleeding, will get to see a color explosion like never before.
Who cares for other people? It's for you too.
It is.
You know, you can look at it like,
Yeah, well, I
right?
earned that, right? And I think that any game that could possibly just change the colors of your ability, like you got to think, like again, we bring World of Warcraft up all the time. World of Warcraft, like you look, Warlock came out, there was red fire, and then they added green fire. And if you didn't have green fire as a Warlock, you were just trash, because like if you couldn't do, people were pegging for carries to get the quest done. I remember selling carries to get the quest done. And like again, I'm not against carry culture at all. I think carry culture is good, but carry culture should exist in the sense of being able to give somebody something that they can't do, uh, because they're inept, right? They can't do it because they're not good enough and they don't have enough time, right? It shouldn't be there for you to just like get ahead by using people's alternate characters because that's the best way to play the game. I personally think it's not a good route. I think that the game should just give you more overall so that more casual players can like stay with the game, stay caught up, and stay doing things. Uh, and I know things are completely different for NA and KR when we talk about this, because in NA we don't have enough gold generation to actually play our accounts viably without pay to win or without doing carries. So you're left with a third option, which is like you don't get to play effectively at all. If you want multiple characters, it's not happening, right? You have to have one big guy and then your alternate characters. Like, of course, we have a massive content drought right now too. If things were coming out at a more rapid pace, like they were, like with Argos, that Thanos snapped the player base, right?
Yeah.
Like it literally Thanos snapped it, right? It was too much too quick, and they didn't give us enough to get there. So like now they realized they were killing the player base by going too fast. Then they started going too slow, or they are going slow, and now they're like, oh well, why is everybody quitting? This is what you wanted. No, what we wanted was the ability to play the game for fun, for free, and have enough generation for everything that the game didn't feel so oppressive. And so it's just oppressive on new players. That's all it is. Like if you're a new or a casual player, it's too oppressive for you to enjoy the game. So it leaves you with the top couple percent of people that want to play. And once all the casuals quit, like the game's not fun anymore, because then the economy implodes.
Well, I think Lost Ark suffers from like their carry culture suffers from the aspect of the game where it's like a lot of like people don't have the urge to go to hell mode.
Well, it's not even hell mode because you don't carry hell. Well, you can carry hell mode, right?
Or
but
carry
like,
in those
hard
are like
mode,
a lot of people don't
mode.
have like the. It seems like a lot of people in Lost Ark, if they're not doing it, because a lot of people that get carries want to do it themselves, but they want to get a carry first, right?
Yeah.
Then they're gonna go join a group themselves after they get the kill, so they can join a group easier. But
That's
like
true.
I feel like a lot of people aren't doing that in other MMOs. Like a lot of people get carries just to get carries, get some gear, get some loot, and they just go back to doing like standing still and
in
doing
town.
nothing.
Yeah, they go stand in town, right? Yeah. So you get carried on. The thing about Lost Ark too is like, what do you genuinely have to do in a week? So you log in. If you only play one character, then you get to have your 1% of fun, which is like the raids, which I think are fun, right? PvP is too oppressive to new players, so it's the same like 10 people PvPing all the time. So PvP became not fun. It's like World of Warcraft, right? Where like PvP is just not fun for the majority of people. So when there's not enough people there, it's just like not as fun because you play against the same people all the time, and that actually just gets boring, right? Because it is what it is.
The PvE is full of noobs who have a hard mode kill, but they don't know how to do the fight still. And you're like, what's going on?
Yeah, you see them, they have the full relic set and they just paid for carries and they finally get to the point where they can do the fight, but they never learn the fight. And that's what I talked about earlier was like,
well they want to learn the fight after the carry.
Yeah, but like now they have the kill and you can't tell the difference between that until you get in the raid, and then it's a whole hassle because you have to leave to kick them out and then they never learn their character. But like if you never learn your ult, then you can't learn the fight. That's my whole point. The game should just promote getting better at your alts, or not even at your alts, just getting better at all of your characters. If you want to play your character, it should promote getting better at all of your characters and giving better rewards for the raid. So that way the carry culture doesn't have to exist in the way that it does, so that more people can get better. And that's all I want to see. Like, honestly, out of any game, but not just Lost Ark, is that carry culture should be like cut off at the head so that more people are just better overall at the games and have more fun. And I know that people don't want to get better because they just want to pay and they want to pass go. But the problem comes when those people want to go do it for real on that character and they think that just because they have the gear they can, and then they just like they're a dumpster fire, right? And after joining a lot of pug groups for Hell Mode and doing a lot of pug, just like everything on Lost Ark, you know, when you join a Discord with people who want to be in Discord and the one guy's linking damage meters the whole time, and you get to really see what the breakdowns are for the fights, you're like, oh my God. You know what I mean? Like you really see like a massive difference. Yeah, well, I mean, if they actually added a damage meter to Lost Ark, it would kill the game. Like it would actually kill the game because there's a lot of cope, and those people would not cope with having the damage that they do. They're like, I paid for full level 10 gems and I'm doing like 600k DPS in a real fight, but on the target dummy, they're doing like 5 million DPS. So I'm the greatest thing that ever existed. They go into a real raid, they don't do anything. Like they can't do any damage because they don't know the fight, they don't know their character. They get in the raid, they're like, that's it. You know what I mean? I think legitimately.
Can you guys pause so I can go watch a YouTube video real quick?
Hang on, I gotta watch a Claysthetics video really quick and learn how to put my character.
Hey, we wiped 5 times. I'm gonna go watch a video.
Yeah, but what happens is, all the experiences I had, every single time when I go join these random people, right? If somebody underperforms, they just kick them out of the group, and like they don't want to waste time with people when you're doing like Hell Mode and shit because it's just a waste of your resources. So you end up just leaving and kicking the person, and then you move on, right? And I'm not ratting anybody out who's using the damage meter simply because it is better for the game. It genuinely is better for the game. I think I know that the like I think it was the director, one of the higher end people said that they never want damage meter in the game because it'll just promote toxicity. And initially I was like, okay, I can see why. You have a little MVP screen at the end. It kind of shows you how well everybody did, but it doesn't really show you how to get better at your character. So you never really grasp like the full understanding of the breakdown of what you're doing wrong during the fight, right? And again, this comes with getting better at the game. That genuinely, if you can understand your character breakdown, you do so much better. Why do you think on like, again, WoW, no, actually Final Fantasy too, when you go look at your breakdown, especially Final Fantasy, oh my God, you look at the breakdown of your logs, right? And you can second by second be like, oh man, I didn't manage correctly at 0.0, whatever, but it doesn't matter. That's cool, right? And you get to see your real damage breakdown, your skills. Now, the damage meter on Lost Ark, to my understanding, because I haven't used it ever, is that it gives you a basic thing. It's like recount, right? It just gives you a basic breakdown. But like, why do you think there's advanced logging tools for like WoW and like?
Bro, you don't need advanced logging tools. Think about this.
I like the advanced logging tools.
Think about this.
I think they're good for the game.
It's illegal, right? You might get arrested by the Lost Ark police. But you don't need to have. You don't need to have that, right? All they need to do is just add a statistics page where it just tells you as a player, and other people can look at it when you can inspect them or something, like another tab, how much times you killed whatever bosses.
They do that with titles, but yeah, no, that would be good. And I think,
like you can make a group. Yo, this guy's joining. You killed the guy once. Yo, that's a carry. I'm not inviting you, dude. You killed it 5 times in like a year, bro. It's been out for like half a year. Like been out for 2 years.
You know what? You gave me an idea. What if on Lost Ark they added when you inspected somebody, you could go to their MVP page and see how many groups they've MVP'd in. You could click on like the raid and be like, is he actually good? And you can see how many times they MVP'd.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, just something like that. I remember like a lot of MMOs or anything I played, like people, that's like one of the things, like how much times you killed the boss. They didn't care about, like, there's all these bosses and shit in these MMOs. Like DPS isn't an issue. It's always just about just doing the fight properly, right?
Yeah, that's actually Vicus in general, is just do the fight properly.
Yes.
It's not a DPS trick. Yeah.
You make a group and everybody killed the boss 10 times and it's been out for like half a year. I'm like, you'd be like, I'm going to leave this group.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, that's a fact, you know. And then you get to see.
We used to do that in WoW. Ironically, we bring up WoW again. You make pug groups and you're like, oh, this guy killed this guy once. Because remember, people started linking fake achievements, and people had to go look at how much boss kills you get and stuff. Yeah, you just check. Oh, you killed the guy once. Okay, I'm not fighting you.
Yeah, well, I think in the grand scheme of just Lost Ark, I look at Lost Ark as a PvE centric game. It's very much so. PvP's dead in Lost Ark. That's a no cap. That's a no cope. Like PvP sucks in Lost Ark because casuals can't get into it, and the entry point's too high for them, so it's too oppressive. It's not fun for them, so they don't play. Being in a 3v3 arena, you know, like throwing people into only arenas isn't a good thing, honestly, because like if you're new or you're casual, there's too many characters, too many abilities, too many animations, so many cancels, so many weird things you can do, all the different little tech that you can do. There's so many little things, right? Because Lost Ark is very in-depth in PvP. Like there's so many little things you can do that actually make you a top tier player that it's too difficult and too honestly, most people get embarrassed when they don't do well, right? Like me and you could run it down and like if you've watched my videos before, you've definitely seen me just put the most embarrassing moments of me just doing the worst possible thing, just because it's funny. Like I just run in and I get knocked out of my bit, whatever. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's intentional, most of the time it's not, but it is what it is, right? I greed damage, I get knocked out of my ability, but you look at PvP, it's too embarrassing for most people to just go get absolutely blasted, right? They lose 10 games in a row, and it more so happened. And I got to see it in the Discord, I got to see it in the forums, people just complaining that one of the best PvE quests is tied to PvP. PvE goes PvPs. They get flattened. They lose 5 games in a row. They pass go and they collect a reward and then they move on, right? But because they never PvP'd and there's no way for them to casually learn, they never want to learn because they don't want to PvP in the first place. But if there was a more casual environment for them to actually learn in, like again, I love the race cars. But again, like I talk about casuals a lot, but they're so good for games, and they keep games alive. They keep the economy healthy. Like you
They're
need
like
casual.
60% of the player base in any game.
Yeah, they really are, honestly.
Well,
and like
think about
them.
this. You might be like super hardcore in some game, like in one game, but you're probably a casual in another game you play. You're part of the casual player base to people, like, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm
So,
part of the casual player base on BDO, but like you can be casual and have a ton of gear on that game. It doesn't really matter.
yeah, you're a hardcore Lost Ark player, but you're a casual BDO player.
Yeah.
So why do you value yourself less because you're casual on BDO? No. So
No, I don't.
why should anybody casual, like,
But
casual
again,
players are the money makers, man.
well, I think that a lot of people like, oh yeah, whales make up the majority of. I think that's completely untrue. I think when you look at a game like Fortnite and you see the genuine success of it, and when you look at a game like League of Legends and you see just how popular just skins are with no pay to win features, no crazy monetization, how many more players you actually get by not being greedy is insane. And the level of money they have. Epic has enough money to just give away a free game every month to as many people as they want, right? And they pay a dev a kickback off of the free downloads, right? Because they're like, oh yeah, here you go. And like how many people just get the game for free? Tons, right? The dev gets the tiny kickback or whatever, but that's better than nothing. But yeah, not being greedy is something that makes games succeed. And I think we're going to see that with Diablo 4 in the sense that I don't think Diablo 4 is going to succeed well because you have to pay for the game. If Diablo 4 was free and it had the season pass and the skins, it would end up being much bigger than any other game. Maybe not bigger than Fortnite. Fortnite's massive, right? And Diablo's a little
They'd
darker.
make it just like Diablo Immortal if it was free. They'd just copy paste.
Right.
It'd just be like another whole like thing for them.
I really do think that if they made Diablo 4 free and they had the current monetization system that they just posted the other day, that game would go absolutely insane. I lost my point on Lost Ark a minute ago, but it was just how oppressive the game feels for new players. That's all it is, right? I got into the tyrant about PvP. I got into, like, I talked about that. Catching up doesn't feel. They did release the newest power pass, makes it feel good to catch up until you hit the wall where you need too much gold, and then casual players don't have any gold, and it's too hard to make the gold. So I think that the game should give more rewards, and I think that how a player actually does should be more apparent. Like there should be, like they said they track MVPs tracked across your like last 100 kills or whatever, right? Like too, like there's a whole bunch of factors, all these things added up into like this weird MVP screen. Why?
Base
Like,
it
why
off
can't
the
I see it?
DPS meter that everybody uses apparently.
Dude, so many people use the DPS meter on Lost Ark. It's actually crazy. Like it's so like so many people use it. Like nobody cares.
So just add it into for the MVP screen. Just use that as a calculator.
Yeah, I think another problem with Lost Ark NA that is, I don't know if this is a problem on KR. I wish like somebody would. I can't ever get a straight answer out of anybody if the game actually lags on reset day. Because on NA the game randomly locks up and freezes while you're in the middle of fights on reset days. So it's like hard to actually do fights on reset days. You remember on WoW how the instances used to be laggy? on
Yes, I
the
do.
on Lost Ark, the day it resets, like it chugs sometimes, like, and like everybody in the lobby's like, what's happening, you know what I mean? And then like that's it. And I think that's either it might be an
On Korea. Do you say reset lag on Korea?
no, it lags on NA. I don't think it lags on Korea. I don't think they have that problem. They have a real server, but I don't know, because I've asked and people are just like, I've never had that problem when I ask Koreans, but NA, everybody I talk,
I
just
googled it. I was seeing if anybody's like complaining, but
yeah,
any
I don't
Koreans
think
are complaining.
I don't think so. They have a real server. Their company actually cares enough to pay for more than like a 12 hertz server. So like that's a thing.
I just see a lot of like questions, people stating, why does the Korean client run smoother and run better than the NA version? Why? I wonder what.
I wonder why the Korean version runs better than the NA version. I couldn't tell you. And like I genuinely think Lost Ark's like clearly on the downtrend, right? Because of just mismanagement. I still love the game. I think the game's great, but I don't want to shill for it and be like there's no problems, because the second you do that is the second you end up with all the toxic systems that we do have. You know, and maybe the desync issues exist in Ashes of Creation too, but it looks so smooth and so clean, just upgrading from 4 to 5. And like they were just like, well, now everything that we're doing is better. The engine is better. Everything is better. And looking at Ashes of Creation, right? That's my hope for MMOs in the future. If anything, the only thing I want a game to ever take away and do is add the animation thing. Create content that's difficult, way too hard for like your average player, right? Only your elite, like your absolute sweaty tryhards, bro. They run it down. They run it so hard. And like, if it takes me, if it takes me 1,000 times to beat this, I don't care. But if you give me the ability to change my animation, because I know for a fact when they're doing animations for characters, they go for 2 or 3 of them and they pick the best one, right? Like I remember the BDO devs years ago, they did like a showcase on it, right? And BDO has the best action combat feeling wise and visually. And now that Ashes of Creation's doing the visual combat, the action combat, I think that like the only reason people play BDO is 1, because they're trapped because they paid too much money. And 2, because of the combat, and they don't like the way like tab targety games feel, right? So when you switch over to Ashes of Creation, you look at they're going to have the action combat. If they go forward into the future, just giving me insanely hard things to do, and like let's just say like they make a group content, like a group dungeon, like 5, 8 man, 10. I hope they do 8 mans. 8 mans are fun.
8 mans are cool.
8 mans are way better than 20 mans. Don't let anybody fool you. 8 mans are the future. 8 mans are the best possible rating. But Ashes of Creation is a brand new game, right? They're coming out. Ashes of Creation hits the mark with that. Everybody will want to do the hardest mode. Every single person's going to be like, I want my ability to look cool, but they won't be able to. And that's what creates a dynamic of casual players wanting to be better. And then they get better and better and better and better. And then it makes the game better because you have so many people pushing towards the end game, right? Man, and then Ashes of Creation could just create the dynamic of you're just going to look cooler than everybody else. And as we know, if you look cooler, you are cooler. You're better. If you look cooler than somebody else, you're just better than the other person, right?
That's all Ashes of Creation needs to do, honestly, right now is just make sure they have really good servers.
I agree with that. I think having good I hope they don't use Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services isn't meant for games, honestly.
No, those are
bad I love Jeffrey Bezos is literally my idol. I love him. I think he's literally a Dr. Evil of the ages. He's an idol, literally an idol, right? He's the best thing that ever happened. But I really wish that he still was like CEO, and he's swole now. He looks good. Jeffrey Bezos looks like oh my god, he's a stallion.
Yeah, dude, full bald stallion, man.
He looks good.
Shit, man.
Yeah. If he cracked down on AGS, like, oh my god, the mismanagement of New World and Lost Ark has been insane. If he cracked down on them, it would be amazing.
New World and Lost Ark.
I love it. I love it.
I love it.
I
love it, dude.
I really do genuinely think Ashes Creation is such a unique position, such a strong like position. Adding those that one thing, I think they already have a pretty good monetization idea where it's just going to be skins and a seasonal pass. I don't know if you're actually going to have to pay for Ashes. By the way, paying for a game does not stop people from botting it. We saw botting or cheating. We saw that with PUBG, right? No. The paywall doesn't exist for that. If
you find a good farm, you make your money back in like the first like hour.
Yeah, literally, like that's not going to stop them, right? So if Ashes comes out and they have all these cosmetic hard modes and they have all these crazy, like I played a little bit of the alpha in the beta. You know what I mean? It's a really the fundamentals and the ideas are there. If the game actually comes out and like that's the only game that I could even think of that would do this is the glow on the abilities, the different animations coming off the abilities. This would be so massive for just gaming in general. Like nobody's seen that before, right? Nobody's ever been in there and been like, okay, here's a hard thing to. World of Warcraft did it once with green fire, literally just once with green fire, right? One time.
It wasn't even that hard. It was just
massive.
like
it was difficult when it came out.
It was a class specific thing, and that's the only time they ever did it. Stupid.
When it came out, by the way, because I did it for so many people, it was difficult. Like it was genuinely difficult. Like at that gear score for casuals, it was undoable. You needed to be in raid gear to actually beat it. And actually, I remember seeing people that were like, dude, they'd spend like, there was a video, I remember it was like 2 hours long. Some guy sat there, he beat it. And like, that was cool. I gear checked it with like, cause I was in full raid gear at the time. So I just walked in, I blasted. I was like, man, that was easy. You know what I mean? But like the green fire was such an important part of the game for me because every time I saw Warlock without it, I was like, I'm better than you because you can't do that by yourself. It made me feel that way, right?
Yeah.
So having that and Ashes of Creation has that perfect, it has the perfect opportunity to create pure cosmetic hard modes that just show how much better you are than everybody else.
Oh yeah.
And that creates such a positive dynamic and it makes, honestly, it makes casual players want to get better and it keeps the casual players in the game longer, right? And yeah, sure, it might take them 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours to beat it. But then that player's still playing for 10,000 hours because he has a goal, an achievement. Gear progression is a goal and an achievement, but it shouldn't be the only goal and achievement. I think that's something that every game has missed the mark with for MMOs, and that's why every single MMO has failed for the last 10 years.
Trying to copy Koreans and other Eastern MMOs, enhancing. It's probably like the worst.
I hate enhancing.
Gear system
enhancing
ever.
is trash, dude. I want the boss to drop my gear and then like maybe I can augment my gear, right?
Yeah.
Augments are fine, adding a little rune or whatever, that's cool. I hate enhancing. I think that gear should just come from better bosses and better gameplay, and that's it. I don't that's it. And like we saw that on World of Warcraft, or like actually no, we saw it on World of Warcraft done really well actually. With Mythic Plus, everybody loved Mythic Plus. The whole Mythic Plus community loves it because like now they can have like pretty good gear, but you still need to raid to get like the absolute
very best,
right? And like that's okay. I don't think there's a problem with that at all. It's just like you have to go and like they end up with heroic trinkets most of the time because they don't want a mythic raid because mythic raiding's a waste of time because it's honestly buggy. It's not even it's too difficult. Like I looked at like what was it, Limit, and like they were doing like the newest raid or whatever, and they're just like memeing it like, and they're like they're like the game's too difficult for new people. So once you make the game too difficult for just gear progression, then casuals can't get into it, and it cuts the head off of those top tier rating guilds, which are fun to watch and they're fun to have in the game because it's like then
all
you
the
have
best players.
Yeah, that's where all the best players are. That's where you want to goal to, but it's too much work for a casual player to get there, so you kind of just don't go. You know what I mean? Or like it's not fun to get there, so you don't have the fun to get there.
It happens in Lost Ark, ironically, where people are making these Helmo groups and they can't find people that know the fight and can come kill the boss with them.
Yeah, I think you could even downgrade that to hard mode. You can't even do hard mode for just the gold, just your weekly gold, and that's it. Like, you know, you're gonna go do the boss for your gold for the week. Like I remember I made a group for Vicus this week. Actually, I made a
learning group. Is this a learning group?
Every time
can I join?
I always ask that shit. It pisses everybody. I do that just to interrupt my earlier statement. I join a group on my destroyer, my ult. I pull up on hard mode Vicus, and I'm like, somebody makes a mistake, and I'm like, is this a learning group?
Did I show up to the learning group?
They lose their mind, bro. It's so funny. But yeah, I made a group. I took my time to make my group this week. I just fact checked everybody. I was like, how many times have you killed the boss? I checked you for red gear. Group. What are your titles? You didn't have the correct titles. You didn't have the right gear. I just wouldn't even invite you. You know what I mean? Yeah. I got in the group. I one shot at phase 1, 2, and 3. No problem. I did it on Thursday. It wasn't even on a Wednesday. No problem. I had 0 issue. We had 0 issue. I think we wiped once in gate 1. Because 2 people forgot to equip whirlwind grenades, and they were like, "Oh, they literally were just like, oh, we forgot to equip whirlwinds," and everybody was like, "Haha."
There's always people like that.
It's not funny.
Consumables.
I
Like, I'm not using my stuff.
I legitimately think that they wanted to get through it like quickly. They just forgot to put it on their bars. Like I've done that before too. I forgot to put
There's
the
a
corrupt
few times
consumables
I
on my bars.
played Lost Ark where I just forgot to like rebuy my health pots, and I joined like a chaos dungeon, and I'm like, no more health pots.
Yeah, okay, a little different, but yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, literally, you forget to re-equip your thing, or you forget to buy a new one, you know, or you ran out and you didn't realize you ran out, and then you load in, you're like, oh my god, I have no money.
I'm in a guardian raid with no fucking pot. Shit.
Yeah, right. And but you do that in hard mode, and you're like, okay, so it's not a big deal if it's once, right? If it's the first pull, and you're like, because if one person forgets the first pull, then everybody double checks. They're like, did I forget mine too? Because you're like mental game, right? You're like, oh no, did I do that? And you're like, never mind, I'm set. So that guy. So then next thing you know, everybody's doing and then so the second time we do gate 1, we beat it, no problem. We literally beat the whole thing in like 20 something minutes. Everybody was stacked, right?
Nice.
Yeah. Gate 2 1 shot, gate 3 1 shot, no problem. No, not even a question. No, everybody knew the fight, but it's like I took my time making the group. I fact checked everybody, and it wasn't a problem, right? It took me 15 minutes to make the group, and like, okay, the setup for that, it sounds bad. I had 2 supports in the group, by the way. I only had to check DPS, so I was like, bad. Equal
Did
item.
you whisper these guys and tell them to only heal you? Just only heal me.
I had Grimwald. He was healing me anyways. He was just
Keep
like,
me up.
Dude, he's like, is it time to juice? And I'm like, yeah, it's time to juice, Grim. And then boom, I didn't crit my ult. I didn't crit one ult during Vicus, not one, bro. I didn't crit a single ult. I was raging so hard. I have a 10% with we didn't have a crit buff in our group, right?
Yeah.
So I was missing like the 16% crit chance that otherwise would put me at 95%. So I was lower than that. So like I ulted to just just white damage, no crit. No,
all white damage. Grimwald glass cannon's about to go, man. Put styrofoam around me so I don't break.
I rerolled. I actually don't play glass cannon anymore. I rerolled to Berserker's Technique, which was already like pretty much stronger than Mayhem. Just took a lot more effort. You know what I mean? It's like a high, like,
yeah.
It's like it's a lot more effort to do more damage, but it does do more damage just because of classes that play with specialization just have higher scaling in general, right? Just because specs.
How much money do you spend?
Gold? I spent like I bought books and gear, and I think it cost me 160,000 gold.
Ooh.
Yeah, 160,000 gold reroll for that's including Berserker's Technique books, which weren't very expensive. I bought them very cheap, but my actual gear was very, 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 very expensive, and I wanted decent pieces.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I geared my destroyer too. So 160,000 gold for 2 characters, and then Divine Quit gave me his whole account. And then I just bought all the Rage Hammer books off the market too. So I have my Destroyer 5x3, Berserker 5x3. They're both stacked out. But once the buff comes, so like legitimately there's all crit damage. So if I don't crit, my character's worthless. After the buff to Berserker or Berserker's Technique, it's literally just a flat 20% damage buff. People are, it's a 5 or 6 with the napkin math. But like you go check the chart, you know, and I real math that it's a big buff. Like it's very big. I genuinely don't think they should have done that because now they're going to end up nerfing it in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, always nerf stuff like that.
Yeah, always nerf stuff.
I want you to have too much fun.
That's one thing I hope that happens in Ashes of Creation is that when Ashes comes out, I hope that the devs are up to date on like buffing and nerfing things, and I hope that they have all the specs at a casual level the same. Like everybody's the same, because in Lost Ark there's a huge disparity between classes, right? Some classes just aren't like, okay, excuse me, that's not true. So all the classes are actually insanely strong and good if a god tier player is playing them, but a casual player, they're literally worthless, right? So like I hope that all the casual classes are about the same level of DPS, like, you know, kind of how they do on like Warcraft logs or whatever, or not Warcraft logs, whatever it was on WoW.
Yeah.
What's that website? Simulation Craft. That's it. Where it shows you the DPS of the characters and it's always way out of whack. If all the characters are within a certain, like within like 10% of each other, it's not that bad. But I hope that the skill cap, right? Because that's one thing on Lost Ark that I love is that there's like your base level, your mid level, like your casual level, your intermediate level, and your advanced level, right? Your casuals, I think that it should all be about the same. The intermediate level, that's where your fluctuations start to happen. That's fine too. But at the master level, I think every class should have the ability, if played by like a master of the character who put their time and effort and literally just soulless hours of the game into it, that they should be able to just dominate the party and do so much better than everybody else just by being better, right? So like we used to see that a lot, right, in other games. And I think Lost Ark's actually one of the only games that does that correctly right now. And yeah, sure, there are some broken meta A tier characters, right?
Well, Lost Ark can do it because like their PvP is like doesn't have like a template.
Yeah, it's a template. Yeah, it does have.
Yeah, so like you don't have to balance all these abilities for PvE around hitting players and one-shotting players.
Yeah, it's really well done. Like the PvP, it has the best PvP in any game I've ever played simply because of the template system. It's just too oppressive to new players, so it gets boring because you don't see any new blood. That's all Lost Ark
It's too
PvP
hard
is.
for like devs, I think, to be able to balance PvE and PvP.
I think so too.
Like,
I genuinely think that the template system Lost Ark did, like they perfectly balanced the PvP out. Like, sure, there's some broken characters for me to say they perfectly balance the PvP out. Like some characters just do better than others and they need tweaking. But genuinely, every single person is on an equal playing field when they enter the arena when they press the Q button. Now, sure, there might be a class or two that like just completely dominate or whatever and do really well. But if you know how to play against them, you can do things to stop them. But no, I genuinely think that that's the best PvP's ever been. And I think every other game should do that for PvP. Every MMO.
They can just balance around PvE, and that's all they have to worry about. It's not so complicated.
Yeah, no, it really it is. Like now they just tweak the PvE abilities. Now sometimes when I see some of the PvE changes, I'm like, what are you doing, bro? But like I genuinely think 32% on burst tag is too much. Like I really do. And it's gonna get
nice
nerfed.
Number. Isn't it just me though? If I'm sitting at 70% crit in any game, it feels like 100%. Just like when you're just playing and hitting things.
Unless you're me and you don't crit your only ability that you
You're
want to
just
crit,
unlucky.
and you're
You're
just like,
unlucky in
I'm gonna
games.
ult and I'm gonna not crit my ult, and then it's like, cool.
The 1% chance it feels like.
The
I'm
only
at 90% crit.
the only game that I've played for crit chance that genuinely felt like 100%, like 33% crit chance, and WoW actually felt like 100% crit chance.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like that's
good. That game's really low. You can feel like 100 instantly. Especially for some classes. You could be like a rogue in WoW and have like 10% crit and be like, whoa, 100% crit.
But I'm Canadian and I don't mind being large. I don't mind. Like it's fine. We're attached at the border. We're the top hat of America. It's perfectly fine. And
like
we get lopped into the same group.
EU people.
Yeah, EU people are our brothers, right? Like everybody's the brothers and sisters around the whole world, honestly. Like that's a no cap, right? There's a massive disconnect between KR, NA, and EU, like the East and the West. And then there's a massive disconnect between like the Western people and then like the oceanic regions too, and like South America. There's a big disconnect. And it makes us all like kind of like fight and have a little animosity towards each other. And I think that removing that animosity and actually like working towards like a goal as a group to just one, make the game less oppressive on new people and more fun for everybody. And I wish the people with bigger voices would come out and talk about this. I genuinely do want like everybody connect. I really connected with my Portuguese audience on Lost Ark. Like I'm not even joking. Like I genuinely did. And they're some of the coolest people I've met on Lost Ark, right? And I've met some really cool Chinese players. I've met some really cool Korean players, right? And all the people that I've met that are really cool all have really open minds to different cultures and like different ideals and different things. And they're not just stuck in their one way. They can accept other people's ideas. And there's lots of people like that. And I wish more people were like that. And now every Australian person I bet is just mad and angry and yelling the whole time, but they still accept your opinion. They just sound really mad and they're yelling the whole time.
They just sound mad.
They just sound mad. They're not real mad. They're just sound mad. Yeah. But no, I genuinely do think like if you can sit down and talk to people in like a positive way where your opinion isn't aggressive and hateful or like you sound mad when you say your opinion, like you have like a good opinion. And everybody's opinion is technically good until it's not good, right? So it's like crypto. Everything's a scam until it isn't, right?
Till the rug pull comes.
Till the ruggers, yeah, till the ruggers. But no, genuinely, I really wish everybody could connect and be like, okay, like look, like just because one region of the game is like good for you doesn't mean it's good for other people. And when it's not even good for you, you have to start understanding that it's like you've made things work for so many years. And like I've played Lost Ark since the very beginning. And I've quit. I've on and off played, right? A lot of the Korean players I met were like really cool, right? Like they were genuinely really cool. And I loved playing with them.
People just have to realize you're the minority on. If you're doing hard modes games or hardcore rating in any game, you're doing a lot of time and effort into any game. You're like the minority, and the game's not running off of you.
Right.
The
And when
game's
we,
running off the 90% of people who play the game for 6 hours, and they get off, and they're never going to get to your level.
yeah. And having those people leave the game is what ends up killing it in the long run. You're always going to have your toxic bad people, but your toxic bad people, you can't just be like casuals or toxic bad. You have to be like casuals are good for the game because they, like I said, they balance out the economy, they make the game better, they're more fun to play with because like they have a different view on the game. Like you were a casual on Lost Ark, you were extremely fun to play with, but it was too oppressive on you, so you couldn't keep playing.
The Lost Ark progression path for everybody, even casuals, is to get you inside hard modes and then hell mode. Even the most casual
It's not
player.
to get you in hell mode.
Well,
Actually,
there's nothing else to do.
there
Like,
is nothing else to do. That is true.
like it's literally the game's telling you, like, hey, go do hell mode. That's the thing to do. You get gear to go do hell mode, then you wait for the next hell mode to come out, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of what I've called what do they call it, eggplant content or whatever, I forget what they call it. He still called it something in KR, but like because it only gives a title and it doesn't give the cool cosmetic abilities like we said, nobody wants to go do hell mode, right?
Yeah.
They don't, because it's not a thing to go do. It's just a waste of your economy, right? So like I had to stop doing hell mode for 2 weeks because I was like, okay, I want to swap specs, I want to gear my alts. I had no gold for pots. I was buying books, I was buying gear, I was buying Pheons, which is disgusting. With all my gold, I spent all my gold on progressing my account, so I couldn't buy consumables. So I had to stop progressing, right? And it's like, okay, so now I can't progress the fun content in the game that I want to go do because I want to progress my characters. Like the end game goal of Lost Arks, the only goal in Lost Ark is to get better gear, and that's it. Enhance your gear. Another tap. That's what Lost Ark is. One more tap. One more go. That's all I ever see at a Lost Ark, and that's really unfortunate because it has potential to be so much more than just one more tap.
That's why you lose casuals. You can't just have casuals being like, oh, just play to enhance. Like, casuals want to go do some fun things for like 2-3 hours and get off.
Well, I think that Lost Ark's for specific people, right? And it could be for more people really easily. I saw that like one of their their big event, Loa Ons, they had all the sideways content planned, all these random things to do that are really fun that aren't on a timer, right? Because things on a timer, people just don't care about doing. I'm not going to lie to you. People miss them and they're like, oh, well, I'll never do it today. And they log out and it's not a big deal, right? So there's things that they could do and it's just taking a long time to develop them. And that sucks.
The Korean, like, Lost Ark's designed for the Korean culture of like PC bangs. That's why there's like so much timer stuff and like.
Yeah, that's true. It's like PC bangs. It's like, oh, I could pay for an extra hour. You know what I mean? I think that's really what it is. But in NA, it's like
playing at home. I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna go play some COD. I was playing COD. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go play COD for an hour, and you miss that hour, and you're like, okay, I'll log in the next hour, and then you miss it again, and you're like, man, that sucks, right? So the time thing doesn't really work the best here. I think it's bad, and a lot I saw it's just so many people quitting MMO games in general because MMOs just aren't good anymore because they have toxic monetization, or they're just simply not good. And like in World of Warcraft, it's just simply not good, right?
Not good.
Final Fantasy.
Not good. Oh, it's great.
No, Final Fantasy is the most popular MMO in the world.
People
And there's a reason. One, subscription based. People said that was dead. Subscription, cosmetics. If they removed the sub from Final Fantasy, it'd be a little bit better. I'm not gonna lie to you. But it's the most popular for a reason.
You know why it's like successful even with a sub? It's like you can play like all the oldest stuff for free, but then you want to get to the new stuff, you gotta like.
I'm gonna be honest. There's only one reason Final Fantasy is as popular as it is. Okay, it's the open access to the casino.
That's true.
No, the raids are really good. The housing thing is like, oh my god, it's an elitist thing to have a house, right? The community is super cool.
Your guild can have a house.
Guild houses. I think the community. The first time I played, I was like, oh, I was watching a cutscene. I couldn't imagine watching a cutscene on Lost Ark. Oh my god, people would just freak out. I watch a cutscene on Final. I'm like, oh, sorry, I'm new. Literally, I was just like, oh, I'm new, and I'm just like a casual, just like seeing it. Everybody's like, oh, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Watch all the cutscenes. Enjoy yourself. Have fun on the game. We want you here. They make you feel welcome. They make you feel like you want to play the game. Final Fantasy community is like the most welcoming community in any game because they understand, the only community in MMOs that genuinely understands having casual players is the only way the game makes the game succeed. So when you get treated well when you first join the game, you're going to treat other new people good when they join the game because that's the mental dynamic, right? Sure, there's going to be some douchebags, but like the majority of people are going to treat each other well, and the game's going to be more fun for more people, and that's why it's the most popular MMO. That's why they stopped selling their new expansion because it was too popular. Have you ever heard of a game not selling their new thing because it was too popular?
That was like
That's
unbelievable
insane.
when I read that. I'm like, a company's doing that, and American like it wasn't even American, it was Japanese company, and I was like, damn, man.
Well, it's the best run game in the world, in my opinion. It's not mismanaged. I think that like there's some things that could be better, like there is in every game, but genuinely, like if Final Fantasy did different glows for different abilities, people would lose their minds, right?
Yeah,
So,
the devs play the game. You can tell.
And the problem with all these other games is devs don't play their games, and devs get put on a pedestal when they clearly shouldn't be.
The game dev, the company should like offer the devs overtime or something so they play their own games when you go home.
I think that if you're a game developer for a game, you should have to play the game. There shouldn't be any excuse that you don't play the game, even if you're a casual. And actually, it would be better if the game devs were casuals. That way, they understood it from the casual POV. Because the more fun the casuals have, guess what? The people at the top have 1,000 times more fun than the casuals. If the game's actually good and they have all these people, like, dude, and Matt, you walk in it, you remember Burning Crusade, bro. You look like a clown in your clown suit. You walking into town, mean mugging. You're like, look at my gear, look at my gear. And all these kids are like, yo, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I remember some guy waddled by me in Orgrimmar. And I was like, or no, Shatrath, excuse me. This was Shatrath City. Waddles by me. And I'm like, what is that?
Look good.
And you inspect him. He looks like an idiot, right? But I want to look like an idiot too, because at the time that was cool because that's all the best stuff. I want to raid now because I want to look cool.
Yeah.
That's all it came down to. And then I raided for years and years and I never
Well,
stopped.
this is simple. Devs should play the games because it's a simple aspect. Like, imagine you're building an obstacle course for like a bunch of runners. You got to build the obstacle course and see if it's possible, right? You can't just build an obstacle course and make it like, oh, it's impossible. But you have to try it out, see if it's possible. See if can people do this? I can do it, so other people can do it. Then you make the course, right? Like, you got to make it doable, right?
You got to make it doable to a point for the majority of people, right? And then obviously your absolute best people are going to find like the best ways to do things, and like making it too hard obviously doesn't. We saw it on WoW. It kills the game.
Is this the right experience I want to give them when they run my obstacle course? You know what I mean? Is this the right vibe? Is this feeling good?
You know who does that really well? Oh my god, that one guy on Fortnite. I'm just gonna Google his name really quick. What is it?
You're like the one guy in Fortnite. There's a billion guys on Fortnite. God.
Scissors. Yeah. So Scissors does these maps on Fortnite that people speed run through, right? And obviously he has to do them first.
Yeah, to make sure they're doable.
Doable, right? And then obviously there's going to be a person that does it better than him with a better time because they're working at it, they're practicing at it. And it creates a community dynamic that you really don't get to see a lot. And I think that's really important, right? So like if you develop something, you should have to play it yourself.
Just to see if it's doable. Is it working? Is this what I want it? Is what I intend it? I put the system, is it working? Is
this actually working or is this trash? Right? Does this actually work? That's a big one. Does this actually work? That's huge.
Yeah. Hey, I put this trap rock in my obstacle course. Does this roll down the hill to kill them? Oh no, it rolls uphill. Oh, it's broken. Gotta reprogram it. Like,
for some reason, when this rolls down the hill, you fall through the world and die instantly. Not
like, how do like sometimes you play games like, how do they not find this bug? Because
bro, when I watch Elden Ring, those bugs, like there's no way a dev could have found those bugs, bro. Like if you give a game if there's any kind of problem to solve and you make a gaming community solve it, they'll solve it, and it's going to be solved at an insanely fast rate because they're having fun doing it, right? Like like Elden Ring, you're like jumping in one place 3 times and you teleport across the map, and you're like, how would you know?
Perfect example, Total War 3. Oh my How much like dumb issues they had when the game launched, like supply line bug. First like 2 days, someone had like,
With
oh,
Total
you do
War.
this inside the ini file, and it changes it. It gets rid of it. It's just delete this. Then like they waited like 2-3 months for like a patch to come out. Then they fixed it.
I think one of the greatest examples of gassed up developers in the entire world is the Creative Assembly developers with Total War Warhammer 3. They failed their community to the point where everybody lost complete faith in them. They embarrassed themselves with Total War Warhammer 3 on launch. Completely embarrassed. And after I couldn't even play for the first, I know multiple Modern Warfare players had this problem, including one of my friends, Eddie. When they turned on Modern Warfare, they couldn't play it. They couldn't even load the game. Total War Warhammer 3, I couldn't play the game for the first 3 weeks.
Dude, even if they didn't do that, just listen to they had these YouTubers play the game for
The Legend of Total War
months, and these guys made lists telling them what to do.
Ignored.
Guess what happened? Ignored, man.
Dude, the Legend of Total War made a huge list. I remember watching this stream of this guy, so sad and so dejected that this company ignored him. They looked at him like,
yo, he's like, these guys wasted my time. He's like so mad.
Dude, thanks for promoting our game, Legend. See you later, buddy. That's how they treated him. They didn't treat him as a valued, you know how he felt when he played? A valued tester that was going to make the game better. That's how they gassed him up to feel, and they hung him out to dry. They made him feel terrible, and you could see it in his face. He was so upset when Warhammer 3 was coming out because he knew all these issues made it into the game. It comes out live, his embargo ends, full flame on the game, expert on the game. Every point's valid. The game is unplayable. The AI is too aggressive. And all these things came down to not a single developer played this game before it came out. And they were so gassed up by their community and so gassed up in general that they thought they could release gold when they painted garbage gold. They thought that they could get away with it, and it was garbage. And it's the worst Total War that has ever come.
Like people would have like been like, okay, like wait for a mod and the modding to come out and they would be fixed. But the issue was like the core aspect of the game is broken. The unit formations were kind of weird, where they were just blobbing up and the mass was broken. Like you could be Ogre Kingdoms and you'd literally W key your whole army through people's
love the W key energy. I love it.
Like it was like any faction with like a backline, good luck. The AI's gonna run at your backline. They run right through your front line to your backline. And
they did such a terrible job, bro. Like honestly, it was so bad. It was brutal to see Total War one of my favorite. Warhammer 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, by the way. Like flat out it's one of my most played games of all time. I have thousands of hours in Total War Warhammer 2, right? I love that game. I think it is amazing, right? I log into Warhammer 3 and all they needed to do. Everybody thought that what they were getting was
Sandbox.
Mortal Empires 3 sandbox fun game. Why is GTA so popular? Sandbox. Same thing. The game's popular because sandbox. Most people just haven't played Total War. They've heard of it, they haven't played it. You look at it, it's fun because it's a sandbox. That's why it's fun. It's not fun when you add all these like stipulations. You add stipulations to anything, the game automatically not fun. Like flat out. It just isn't. So they made a whole brand new campaign, a whole new thing that nobody wanted. Nobody wanted this at all. Nobody wanted to play it. Nobody did play it, actually. And that's why the game literally died. Everybody wanted to play the sandbox mode. When the second game had 4 times the player base, 4 times the number, you can go check Steam charts, even now, probably. And Warhammer 2 has more people than Warhammer 3. Why? Because they want to play Immortal Empires. Everybody thought that Immortal Empires was coming, they thought Immortal Empires was coming out with Warhammer 3. And it came, what is it, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. 6 months later. 6 months later, the only game mode, the only feature that they need to put in the game.
With the blood, by the way.
With the blood. 6 months to add blood effects to a game, by the way, in a game all about war.
It's in the name.
Right? Melee battles, too. Like melee, magic, explosions. No blood pack till 6 months into the game. How can you tell me that Total War is garbage after 6 months? And after seeing it being played, I haven't played it yet because I don't have an invite, obviously, because I talk too much. But the simple fact is, when you look at the game being played, the AI is too passive and the game looks boring because the AI doesn't expand out. The AI doesn't do anything. They didn't do a good job again. Right. And you're looking at it's like, how did you mess this up 6 months? 6 months. right? On top of after release, and they're releasing it as a beta. So if there's any issues, they're just like, it's a beta, don't worry about it. The problem with the launch of the game, no mods. The problem with the launch of the game
All the mods are
wasn't
going to
good.
be like needing updated and going to take a few days, unless a lot of the modders got access.
They didn't, for sure. We're like on launch Warhammer 3. The only reason Warhammer 2 was actually good was because of mods, because of all the like crashing issues and bug issues with the game. You could download like community bug fix mod, probably the most popular mod in the game, other than better camera mod. It fixed the game. It genuinely fixed the game, right? And I know some people don't play with mods, but seriously, the reason that game's good is because of mods and like the level of gameplay and depth that the mods can add to the game, right?
You can play Warhammer 3 right now with the SFO mod, and the gameplay feels way different. I'm not sure what they did, but the units are more responsive. They clash better. The archers respond. All things a normal base game don't do, right? Maybe they were a little better now, but like at the launch, so what we were talking about, like it was horrible.
I think Total War, Warhammer 3, and World of Warcraft are the two biggest examples of games that developers need to play their own game to make it good. Because when they don't and they just get gassed up by the communities, the games suck. Now everybody hates Blizzard devs because they're
weirdos. Then you're wondering why games turn out trash.
And you're like
making the game.
You're like, why has World of Warcraft sucked for 10 years? Well, none of the developers were working on World of Warcraft. They were piss drunk running around the office with their wieners out the whole time. Wow. Nice. That sounds great. Thanks for wasting thanks for literally just lying to us and lying to like everybody who played the game, right? And then you look at CA. Now I know that there's no craziness like that going on at CA, but the devs were so gassed up by the community that they got lost in their own heads. And it's time to pull them out of the clouds, right? Because like you can't have these guys being gassed up that don't play their own game. They have to play their own game so they can understand how to fix it. You can't have a game like Warhammer 2 where you get a team to fix the game and make it better, and then Warhammer 3 comes out and it's just bad, right?
Hey, Warhammer 3 devs, if your fix is just like a number, just adding a number, removing a number, adding a different line, just put it out. We don't have to wait half a year for like a giant update patch. Just put out the really small fixes. The supply line bug was the dumbest freaking bug that was the easiest fix. It was literally like one line in the ini fucking file, right? It took them like 2-3 months for them to actually fix it.
I think that the biggest problem like that happened with Amazon's Lost Ark as well is that banning the bots literally took like they're doing big massive bot ban wave and they make an event out of it almost. And it's like, don't make an event out of a big patch, right? Have an event for a big patch. Actually, excuse me. Have an event for a big patch. But something stupid like banning bots shouldn't be an event. That should be something you're actively doing on a daily basis, right?
It's like the war on drugs. They go and they spend the weekend going hard on some like drug dealers, blah blah blah. Look what we do. We're cleaning the streets up. In reality, they're not doing nothing. Right?
6 months later, they're like, "We'll do something again when people get mad."
Like and Monday comes along and there's 10 other. They're out and they're just doing the same thing, and it's like, oh,
it's true.
But they want to show they just want to show off like, look what we're doing, guys, for the cameras, right?
You know, I genuinely think that the Total War devs just they don't got it. I think they dropped the ball, and I think that the reality is if they if they were constantly looking to do an update every single like week, like a weekly update where it's like, okay, we're gonna make sure all these small bugs are fixed. They hire extra people to make sure all the small bugs are fixed, make sure all these little things that are legitimately ruining the game, making people quit, get fixed. And it's the same thing with the bots on Lost Ark, just to have people banning them. You know what I mean? Like have an effective thing every week, and don't have a million false positives. Because if you have all those, it just doesn't work out.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, like if one like issue is someone didn't proofread some like line of code you guys did before you pressed enter, it takes you just editing that line of code and fixing it. Just do it. Don't wait 3 months.
Don't make your player base do that. Don't make your player base fix that.
Why did I have to go in and do it?
Right, like you can do that yourselves, and it's like you shouldn't have to rely on modders to make your game good. Even though like having the modders is a benefit of having a good community, and you're gonna lose your community if you keep treating them like garbage, and that's as simple as it gets. And once you've lost your community and they hate you, that's the end. You might make a good game.
That's the SFO dudes, the other guys that made the overhaul mod, the Radius guys, like they had longevity to Warhammer 2 for years. There's a lot of people that got tired of
yeah.
the base game, and they jump on SFO, and it's kind of like the base game plus, right?
Yep.
And like have fun, and they're like, okay, I want something new. They jump on Radius, bunch of new units. Oh, they
Like,
overhauled everything.
you
New
can
unit
literally
cards.
switch between Radius, SFO, and the base game and have a different experience in each one, and it keeps the game fresh for you.
Imagine you're a modder, bro, and you know this game company, dude. They released this game, knowing all these little bugs are out in the game, but they're like, you know what, man?
Leave them in.
They're gonna fix it. These
They're
guys are
gonna
gonna fix the little
They'll
ones.
fix it.
We don't have to waste no time doing that. They're gonna fix it.
That guy will fix it. Yeah, no,
Hey, they're doing it for free
it.
too, by the way. After we have to pay nobody. Let's not fix the supply line bug. They're gonna do a mod for it anyways. So let's go work on the harder stuff where like that's just taking advantage of the people. Like it's smart, but you should take advantage of that modder who's not getting paid. Like none of these modders get paid.
Yeah, they're
like
using the free labor. They're taking advantage of people, like you said, and that's not okay. They should actually like be taking care of that themselves, right?
Yeah,
like
I want that
it's
modder
not
guy to
unhealthy
make
for the
some
game.
like a new Nagash mod or like some other
Gosh, that's so
legendary
cool,
lord,
bro.
right? I don't want this guy like spending a fucking day trying to make a mod for fucking a supply line bug.
I think so too. I think that's genuinely the direction people should go.
And guess what? Total War devs, settlement battles suck, man. Let me have a choice. I know a lot of people like settlement battles though.
Bro, there is a no. People like settlement battles. Like, okay, I'm not gonna be honest. Your brain's a liquid if you think you want to do an attack battle, settlement battle. There's a reason that like if you go watch a stream of somebody playing Total War, that the majority of like a bunch of people, like I watch Legend of Total War a lot, 200-300 people every time he does a settlement battle leave. There's a very simple fix, right? People complain about siege battles, like whatever. Now you have a worse system, and it wouldn't even be that bad if the units didn't get stuck on everything. But I don't. That's a 30-minute talk in itself, a whole video, literally. But if the settlement had walls like it did in Warhammer 2, then you fight the settlement battle. If it doesn't, then it's an open field battle. I think that's the easiest solve.
Yeah, Sally out, dude.
That's it. There's nothing to it. There's literally, it's like, does it have walls? You're doing the siege. If it doesn't have walls, you're not doing the siege. You do an open field battle. There's a settlement in the background. The reason they thought that they could port Three Kingdoms over was because Three Kingdoms had like way better systems. Like it was Three Kingdoms settlement battles were actually good, right? Because there's a settlement. The interactions with the units on the settlement were great. It was
all
clean and crisp.
All the deployables were pre-start of the round deployables. Like once you deploy them, they're done. They got destroyed, they're done. You're not like moving them around, rebuilding them, and spamming them. Like, why am I playing a tower defense when I'm defending or deal with tower or AI doing free tower defense? Like, you need 1,500 resources to make a cannon tower. AI could be like, oh, here's a cannon tower. Boom. You destroyed it? Here's another one, dude.
Playing tower defense on Total War, that's not what Total War is for. Total War is like, okay, I want to play a siege battle, castle, siege. It's cool. It's fun. It's actually interesting. It's fun to do. And then I look at
castle. Why are the roads like? I thought roads are supposed to be like you go to most castles, giant castles in medieval times too, right? Like the roads are wide enough for like their army to like march down or some shit, right?
Or a big carriage for the king to go through. This one, it's like, oh, there's room for 3 dudes. They can walk up the. No, man, it's crazy.
Settlement battles are all choke point battles too. So unless you're like a whole melee stack, like it's going to be horrible because all the firing ranges and arcs are fucked in that thing too, and the way units move and get delayed there, like you can only be corner or like just stack melee.
Well, you either have heavy mass or you have like,
or you sneak in
good single units, or you sneak in
really
and you just
fast
back cap.
elite force and you just back cap and you stand there for 5 minutes defending it before your units die out and then like you win.
I think the fact that the towers even exist is ridiculous to me because it just gives so many factions like free power to defend early game. And if you just auto resolve it, like it's way easier because like you otherwise would just lose because the tower's DPSing you the whole time. If played by
interesting, man.
It's
Three
boring.
Kingdoms, you can drop like you could do spike walls, little oil patches. Your archers can, your 5 flame archers can shoot the oil patches. You can place them anywhere. You can get little like walls, right? Yep. I think it was in Rome. The Rome one, you can get little walls, stick them beside your units. So
Rome's
like
one of the best ones ever made. Yep.
if the like their castles were great too because their fucking castles were huge. You have these giant armies. You want to be able to like put them in formation and fight, right?
Mhm.
You want like little two little lines, dudes going like this, and while everybody else blobbed out behind him waiting.
It's stupid.
That's not fun.
Yeah, it's stupid. 100%. I think Warhammer
Like-
3's scale. Honestly, I think the scale of Warhammer 3 is like settlement battle wise. The scale of the settlements isn't grand enough. Like it should be like everything should be like twice as big.
Bigger. Yeah, you look at Rome, Total War Rome, like those fucking castles are huge.
Bro, you look at Shogun, the castles are massive. Like the stairways getting up, like they're supposed to create chokes for the stairways. You don't want you park your pikes on top of the stairs. They can't run up
like
the stairs.
of course there's chokes, right? But like the whole map of the castle shouldn't be a choke.
I know what you're saying.
I know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? So we're going to be back every single Sunday with the same
Every
level
Sunday.
of W key energy that the Zerker Gang is all about. So make sure you hit us up in Discord so that you can keep up to date with everything that we're going to be doing, because we have something crazy special coming up really soon. Again, all the Total War videos are going to be coming out. All the new Lost Ark videos, you get them there first, including all the builds, all the information, and all the secret stuff that'll keep you ahead of the curve.
All the secret stuff.
And I want to give a shout out to our patrons.
Thank you guys.
You know what I'm saying?
Know what I'm saying?